Hello and welcome back to the Money Mom podcast. I am so excited about today's episode. I have a dear friend here who we're going to kind of roll with this and see where it goes. I worked with Megan for we've known each other for about 2.5 years now. We were in a similar business coaching container, but she's also helped me on the side with some of my own limiting beliefs, things that have kept me stuck. And she is I'm going to let Megan, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because you'll do a much better job. But I feel like we are in for such a treat today with you here on this episode.
Thank you for having me, Rachel. I am very excited about today because recently, when all of a sudden all the things start to connect in a way in your brain that you're like, oh, I can really, really explain this. Money specifically, I've been having some huge ahas from watching hundreds of clients that I have, what works and when money flows to them and when it doesn't. So that is what we're going to talk about. I'm excited to dig in. My background, I am a trainer, an NLP trainer, what is NLP? It's neuro linguistic programming. And again, what is that? So this is the idea that success leaves clues, the idea that if someone does something really well, you can elicit their strategy for it. You can elicit their beliefs for it. You can find out what were they saying to themselves? What were they thinking? What were they feeling? What were they hearing? What did it look like? And taking that someone is doing well, and you can literally map it across to something you want to do. Or it could be an area of your life where where you feel like I'm really powerful, I'm really abundant, I'm great in this area. You can take that set of strategies and bring it over to another area because often people have one area of life they feel great about and another they're like, I don't know what happens when I step into a relationship or when I step into the money role. I turn into this different person. So we can use where we're good at something in one and bring it into another.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah.
It's all about language and how the language communicates to our brain, communicates to our mind, what we believe about ourselves, and therefore what we believe is possible.
Yeah. And I mean, that was a really beautiful description of it. I don't know if I've ever heard of NLP described that way. I mean, I'm pretty new into the world of NLP, but I love this idea that the subconscious is always running the show, right? And so when we can get, I imagine that you're just like getting deeper into that subconscious of what is the subconscious, how is that working in this situation of my life? Well, then I can then retrain the subconscious in this area of my life. Correct?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're doing it well in one area, then we know we can. We know it's possible. It's just, what is it about this other area of life that we have beliefs or sticking points, or just, we've gathered evidence from all the past experiences that this area is never going to work. So it's just discovering that and then unlocking the potential we already have.
Yeah. And it's about creating curiosity and awareness around that. Because a lot of people don't even know what's happening. Even when they're being successful, they don't know why that is, right?
Right. How did I get here? I
Yeah.
just did. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what you're uncovering right now with money. And this, obviously, this is the Money Mom podcast. So we're here because we want to be better with money. So tell me about that.
Recently, I've always been a powerful storyteller. That's how I communicate with people. I naturally tell stories. And I decided to teach a class on metaphors and I really wanted to think about how do I create these stories that then create change for clients or create change in our mind. And in the process, I really dug into the ones that work well and the ones that maybe don't. And so in one of our classes, a woman came and she said, Megan, I know that I could use a budget. It was about money and about budgeting. She said, I am getting really good at making money, and then it just poof goes away.
Mm-hmm.
It's in and it's out. And she said, I know, I should. She's using the should word, but I know I should have a budget or a plan, and I don't want to. It feels so restrictive. I don't even want to look at it because then I'm going to have to do something about it. I'm sure you've heard all these things.
Yep.
And so I'm thinking, okay, what's a story or what's an example, right? Because when we tell stories, because I could just give you evidence, I could say, well, Rachel, if you do this process, if you follow the process you're teaching, you will have more money. But we don't really argue reality doesn't really work for the subconscious, and it doesn't really work for other people to just say, "Here's the hard reality, so get on board." It's an immediate rejection. Well, not always, but unless someone's very open, most of the time it's a rejection. But when we tell a story that allows them to see another option, then storytelling goes into the subconscious. It goes into the part of us where, like you said, where 90 to 95% of the time the subconscious is running the show. So these are all of our strategies, our habits, our beliefs. They're in there. And these were formed under 7 years old of age, most of them, unless we've actually gone back to do work to change them. Those were in there. So whenever people are beating themselves up about their money beliefs or their beliefs around how worthy they are, or beliefs just around life itself, and they're beating themselves up for having this belief, like, I should know better.
Mhm.
I'm like, this wasn't your belief. Like, whose belief? If 7 years old, did you decide that based on a lot of evidence, or were you told this? Did you experience a couple interactions with humans and you said, okay, when I see that face, that person's mad, don't do that. When I
Mhm.
see that face, that person's happy, do more of that, right? So don't make that person mad. Don't be too loud. This person likes jokes, right? So we're just learning from our
Mhm.
environment, downloading all these beliefs. They become law. They become what we're operating on automatically, which is important because otherwise every single day we'd be getting up trying to decide, what do I believe today, right? Like, these are programs. The brain works on efficiency, so it makes sense. And all these things that are in there, some are great, some are super empowering, and some are not, especially with money. We might just have the, like, money doesn't grow on trees, money is evil, money doesn't flow, people who like money are evil, right? There can be all these money beliefs in there, and discovering and pulling them out is where we can shift it. So
Mhm.
back to the budgeting person who was saying, I don't want to budget. She's telling me, I really, really don't want to budget. And I know if I had some kind of plan, I know I would be better off. And from my personal experience, when I finally implemented a system for where does the money go when it comes in, as soon as I implemented that system, more money was flowing in.
Mhm.
Because there's this level of safety in trusting myself that I'm not just going to send it back out or actually spend more or get myself into situations. So as the money flows in. So I was trying to think of a story. I'm like, what's a story I could tell that would show this example that actually having a place for it, like having a system, having the budget, will allow for more. And in the 3 in the morning, Rachel, my metaphor woke me up. And I was like, I had to write it down real quick. And so the metaphor is about water. So think about, water. We all love water. We need it to survive. We drink it. We bathe in it. We use water all the time. And we want to have access to water and clean water. And I've been in countries where they don't. And, they're walking miles just to get drinking water. So it's a huge deal to have clean water. And so as the water, most of us have water in our homes. And then we have a different container that water is going to go into. So I'm thirsty. I want a cup of water. I have a little small container and I go to the faucet. And then I also want to have a big container of water to back up to that faucet, right? So that when I do turn it on, it'll flow through. And then I also want to be able to take a bath. So I have like a whole bathtub. I've got different size containers for the water that I want and need. And so this is great. The water is great. I turn it on to flow whenever I want, and it's great to have. Now imagine that now in my bathroom, there is no actual bathtub, but there's a faucet. So a faucet of flowing water flowing into no bathtub. For a person who bought a home who had mold in it, we don't want water flowing right into not a container, right?
Yeah.
So now you turn on the water. Water's great. We want abundant water. And now it's just flowing into a bathroom. It's flowing onto the floors. It's ruining the floors. It's getting underneath. It's seeping into everything. And
Mhm.
water flowing into just an open space is actually incredibly damaging.
Mhm.
It can ruin your whole house. And it
Mhm.
has. So I was like, oh, this is just the perfect example of as soon as the water was turned on full blast into this bathroom that has no container, now what do we need to do? I need to go shut the water source off. We go to the house and we're
Ooh.
like, we can't even have the water can't even be on. So now I can't even go get a cup of water.
Wow. That's
Right.
landing. It's landing.
Yes. So this is we are shutting off the source when we don't have a place for it to go. Because
Beautiful.
why would it come in? I mean, we know it's not safe for it to just flow in if there's nowhere for it to go. And this is just beautiful water that we all would agree is great for us until you think about it in that context.
Right. Well, and when we have a place for it, we trust ourselves to be able to hold more water. And that's a huge aspect of the block,
Mhm.
right? Is
Yeah.
I don't have anywhere for it to go, so I don't want more of it. No way.
Right. And more of it will actually ruin something. And many
Mm-mm.
people do believe that or have
Right.
had experiences of that in some way. But the bigger container, so the more we grow our, metaphorical tub, like the more we grow our container, the more we can actually hold, the more we can have for backlog of water, of money,
Wow. Wow.
right?
That's a super powerful metaphor. I love that.
I know, 3 in the morning. It was a good one.
That's when
That
the
was
good
worth
stuff
getting
comes.
up for.
Did you tell the woman that
I did.
metaphor? And
I
how did
did.
it land for her?
Oh, she loved it. She said, "This is so fascinating. I have never once had anyone actually attempt to reframing is like the NLP word we use for shifting the idea of a budget." She said,
Hmm.
"I've really only had people just kind of make arguments for why I should." And that's the difference between powerful language and communication of not ever really convincing or persuading or pushing someone. It's giving them more options. It's saying, okay, budget could mean restriction. It also could mean a lot more freedom. It also can mean a lot more flow. And then most people are like, I like that definition.
Hmm. Yeah.
If this is a choice, because we're always just choosing every day what we believe, if it's a choice, I'm like, well, that seems like a more empowering belief. That seems like I'd like
Right.
that. And so then she was immediately realizing, well, I'm willing to set up a structure
Hmm.
under that context because this feels worth it. This doesn't feel like it's shutting off the flow. And she could immediately see, yeah, I have been shutting off the flow because I do not trust myself. I do not trust myself when it comes in. She's like, not only does it go out, but I feel like I actually send more out than I even have. Like now I'm getting into debt. Now I'm buying things that I wouldn't have.
Hmm.
So a lot of mistrust in herself, which now she's starting to see, oh, it was just about the container. I just didn't have a container.
Well, and I see this so often with people who are, well, I mean, we all do this, right? We're walking through life and we just believe that what our reality is, like how we perceive reality, that's how it is. That there's no other options for how we could think differently. And sometimes it takes somebody on the outside to say, your context, your lens that you're looking through is only one path forward. And that's why you've been feeling stuck, is because you're just going down the same path and there's roadblocks. But what if we went this other way? Like what if this also could be true, or this could be true? And there's always, there's probably infinite number of different ways to look at a problem. But the way that our brains work is we want to solve the problem that we think exists, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it takes the reframe, it takes the like, this could be something else to then have it land for someone.
Right, because we become so ingrained in our own beliefs
Hmm.
that most of the time, unless you have a really powerful coach around you, you just
Yeah.
cannot see another option because it's not a belief to you. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
This is just how it is. Actually, I have a really hilarious story. Can I tell you about this
Yes, please.
psychologist? Okay.
Yes.
Because this really locks in the power of belief. So um, there was a psychologist who had a really tricky client come in. And this person he believed that he was a corpse. So he believed he was dead.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so the psychologist is like, okay, how do I get this guy to understand that he is not a corpse? He is alive. He is here. And he said, okay, well, he said, okay, if I could show this guy, if I could get him to agree that corpses don't bleed and breathe, for example. So he said to the guy, he said, well, do corpses bleed? And the guy said, no. He said, okay, well, how about, are you okay if I give you a little prick on your finger and we can see if you bleed? And the guy said, sure, you can prick me. I'm a corpse, right? Like this, I don't have a problem with this. So the psychologist pricks his finger and blood starts to come out. And the guy was like, oh my gosh. He's like, that's crazy. He's like, I guess corpses can bleed.
Oh, shoot. Great. But that was his solution. That was the solution, to stay stuck in the belief that he had, right? He wanted so bad to stay in that box.
And when you map this over to your, I mean, that's an out there, crazy, funny example, but when you map this
Yeah.
over to things you're actually doing in life, like you're saying, I can't be good with money, or,
Yeah.
stay-at-home moms can't make money, right? You're locked into this belief, and then someone literally shows you this other way. And instead of going, oh, I can do that, then you're in the like, well, corpses can bleed, right? Where we can be so locked in that even with evidence, we stay stuck to that belief. So it's really, really powerful to have people around you who can help loosen the beliefs so that then you can start to even realize where you're holding on to one. Because a lot of
Mhm.
times we just don't even know.
So if someone is new to this thought process of like, I'm walking around with my own beliefs and it's basically running the show for me, what would you say to that person of like, okay, this is how you get started. This is how you start to dissect what's belief, what's truth there. This feels, I'm just looking at this through the lens of like, I'm brand new to this idea,
Mhm.
and great. So now you told me I'm walking around with everything that's holding me back, but like, how do I?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
How do you get started?
yeah.
I think my favorite game is to just, because I believe our emotions are our compass to tell us where we're off, where we're actually not aligned with what's best and in our highest good. So when we start to take note, I mean, the easiest thing is just to start to notice what bothers you, what pisses you off, who, what interactions, what type of activity, what type of people, or what type of things, and start to categorize them. So it's easiest for most of us to look at other people, right? The neighbor is doing something, and when it bothers you, you can ask yourself, what is it that I am saying in my mind the neighbor's doing? Like the neighbor is being arrogant. I don't know. I'm making things up, but you want to have an actual statement of, if you were to be blaming them, if you were to go just not taking any responsibility, but just saying it's them, what would you say they're doing? They are inconsiderate. They are arrogant, whatever it is. The person who cuts you off, what is it? What is the statement about what they're doing? And then we get to play a really fun game, Rachel. And the game is to actually now take that statement and turn it around. So we're saying, okay, the neighbor is inconsiderate. Now we ask, where am I being inconsiderate? Either to others, or where am I being inconsiderate to myself? And just witnessing the things and the people that bother you, you will get to uncover every belief you have about yourself. If you want to write out the things like he should or she shouldn't, or any story about people in your life, he should listen to me more. Great. Now we get to say, where am I not listening, or where am I? And often, especially with women and moms, it's often we're doing it to ourselves. Like we're like, no, I would never be mean to a neighbor. And we're mean in our heads to ourselves every single day.
Mhm.
As we do that, you'll start to come up with a whole list of things and beliefs of like, oh, wow, I wouldn't have said that I'm judgmental, but I am judging that person for being judgmental.
Mhm.
And we can really quickly, if people will play that, I play the game every single day. It's still my way of seeing what are these sticky beliefs that I haven't really found. And especially when my level of irritation to something is disproportionate, right?
Mm.
If someone is really doing something harmful, you want to have a strong emotion because therefore you're going to have a boundary, you're going to protect your kids, right? There's things that happen, and then there's the things in the category that you go, I am way more angry about that than what just happened.
Mhm. The trigger, you got triggered.
Yes, those are the ones where we can discover all of our beliefs. We
Yeah,
can find them in
the
that
emotions.
setting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We just did this exercise inside a Money Mom Club coaching call where we were talking about relationship, money and marriage and partnerships. And, a lot of the women came onto the call, all these things that their husbands were doing with money that was pissing them off, right? So like we kind of laid out all of the grievances people have. We did this statement, we did this statement exercise of he does this, he doesn't do this, da, 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 da. And then we did the reframe where we're like, okay, actually say this in an I statement. And there were so many breakthroughs of like what I have been experiencing from my husband. I either haven't been doing, like I want him to do this, but I'm also not doing it. Or I hate that he does that, but I show up this way too. And it was just a really cool exercise. If you're in the Money Mom Club, you can go watch that replay and do that exercise with us, because I think it's so often we project our own thoughts, our own beliefs onto other people, right? And this is just then taking power back for yourself of like, how am I showing up in the world? How am I experiencing the world? And questioning it.
Oh, I'm so glad you did that in your
Yeah.
Money Mom Club. That's
It was,
awesome.
it was pretty
Everyone
fun.
should go watch that one. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Okay. So someone is starting to question all of these things. I know that for myself, like as I've become more aware of how I'm showing up, I've become more aware of my emotions. It can feel like there's so much work to be done. And do you have, advice on someone who's like, where should I focus on first? Like, where do you think people find the most value in these beliefs? Is it in the money story? Is it in the relationship? Like where would you have someone start?
I think one of the cool things about this process of doing the self-discovery and finding the beliefs is that they're always super interconnected. So in our training, so I do a 6-day live training, and in the training, as we're going, I say to people, I'm like, have a page in your journal where anytime something comes up, you write it down, because the container itself, meaning flying to a training, right? Somebody might already have had a belief of like, I can't leave my kids. So
Mm,
signing up for the training, I can't invest that amount of money on myself. Like sometimes the only time people have made big investments were college or a house or a car. So just even purchasing something or investing in something, the beliefs will be coming up. So I'm having them write down every single belief as we go. And then when we get to training, or we get to the part where we're actually getting to the beliefs, they might have a list of 100, literally.
mm, mm,
And of course, that feels very overwhelming of, okay, I don't have 100 days. Like I have 6 days. So are
right.
we going to even get through this? And what we find most of the time, it comes down to about 3 core beliefs that the rest were tied to.
Oh, yeah.
So or one uncovers why, clearing out one belief uncovers why that person couldn't see how the other ones were related or something like that. So I always say, please try not to focus on the number of things that we find wrong with ourselves, because that is just going to lead to more overwhelming chaos. And know that just even finding one that's a really strong one for us, because it will be different for everyone, but finding one that's really strong for us can shift the whole list. And it
Mm,
does. We see it happen all the time. The things that end up being the highest on the list is things that are identity, things that are going all the way to like, I am a person who blank, right? I am not smart enough to manage money, right? We're getting to an actual core belief about their identity
yeah.
versus farther down the chain, which is actually a cool way to help someone move from money beliefs, is to move away from the identity level, and then underneath that is maybe the belief level. So I am not good with money, and then right now I'm believing that I can't manage it.
Hmm.
And then to move down a couple more levels to maybe the environment level, where we're saying, okay, I've just never been taught how to manage money.
Mm,
So if I've never been taught how to manage money, and I can actually learn other things, therefore, now this is something I can just learn. It's just not somewhere I've put my focus and attention,
mm,
right? And
yeah.
we're starting to find examples where that person has done really, really well. Like, do you love to bake and you've gotten really, really good at that? They're like, yes, I have. Great. Well, what did you do? I put in hours and hours. I tried different recipes. I tested it, and then I failed and I burned it, and then I did it again. And so you start to realize like the pattern of where the thing worked or where you got really good at it. Usually there was a lot of failure involved that then gave them some feedback that then they shifted. And so it's the things that we haven't been willing to try or haven't put much time in at all that feel so scary, that just feel like, oh, I don't know what to do with that.
Right. Right. So maybe you reframe this for me. We're not saying beliefs are bad, right? Like we don't have to look at a belief and say, that's a bad belief or a good belief, right? We want to look at it with non-judgment. But what a belief is clues as to deeper, like, I guess what we're saying is belief is the context with how you're looking at life. And if you don't like the way you're showing up in a certain place or area when it, if it came to money, then we have to start to look at the beliefs, because if we can find beliefs that are the sticking point, then we reframe the belief and we replace the belief with something that's more empowering. Beliefs either move you towards a goal or away from it, right? So that's why we're talking about this deep level of beliefs, not in a way of like, you shouldn't have beliefs. Beliefs shouldn't be there. They should be there, but we can replace them with ones that actually get us to what we want to do,
Does it
right?
move? Yes. Does it move you towards what you want, or does it stop you? So I just recently been really, really studying even deeper. I've been teaching like advanced language patterns. So I've been getting deep into language. And I found that there's patterns with people who are really good at taking feedback, or, so in, my belief system, if people who can take feedback, therefore can improve at their craft, they can improve at their skill, they can improve at being good at money faster. So it's the fear of ever trying and air quote failing that stop us. We just don't get any feedback, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You jump on a skateboard a couple times, you fall, you get feedback, and then after a few times you're good to go. But if you just don't ever get on because you're like, well, there's wheels and it moves and this could be dangerous and I could fall, it's going to be years. Like you'll
Right.
still won't know it because it's sitting there. So it's just the doing. It's just the jumping on that gets us the feedback. So with the people who are really good at feedback, there's whether we keep it at the identity level or whether we move it down. And there's a thing called logical levels. So the top is the identity level. And so, for example, I just recently, I did a signature talk. I did a speech, and I was getting feedback from a coach on the talk, and the feedback wasn't all that great. And he said, "Well, you were kind of reading off your paper. It wasn't your most powerful, right? There was some, a little bit of like, oh boy, this isn't like great job, Megan. This was a little bit more constructive, and there's some work to do here." And so what I immediately did in my head and then wanted to say out loud was explain why that happened. And so I said, yes, cool, I got it, because that morning that I was supposed to give the talk, I had this whole plan to run through it for an hour and practice and feel good about it. And people showed up really, really early to the event space. And so there wasn't a space to do that. So now, of course, I did wait till the very last minute. So that was on me. Like, I definitely understood there was a way this could have happened differently. Although what I did was I said, I get it. I don't want to be reading it. And in the future, I won't be reading it. I wasn't prepared. I didn't practice. And so what I did was I kind of brought it all the way down to the environment level of there were people in the space and I didn't have time to practice. So that
I
takes it
see.
away from what I could have said and I think would have said in the past, because feedback was not easy for me before NLP. I would have said, I'm not a good speaker,
Mm-hmm,
or I'm not prepared, or something. That I would have gone identity statement on that. See, I'm not good enough. He's
mm-hmm,
saying it wasn't good enough. That's
mm-hmm.
embarrassing. And so when you go identity level, when you get feedback of, therefore, I can't manage money,
Mm-hmm.
therefore, I can't be trusted, we're locked in. We're locked in really, really strong. Where if we go down a couple levels to like maybe just a belief or just something about a skill or a capability or an environment, I went all the way. Environment's the lowest. I went all the way to the lowest, and I said, "Yeah, okay. The environment did not allow me to practice that morning. Therefore, next time I will do it in advance. I will, because I'm believing I am a good speaker, and with preparation, this will be great.
Yeah.
Therefore, I will get back on the horse and do it again, and it will be better. And that feedback I know will make it better, because I know next time I will not leave it till that morning. Because I felt the feeling when he said that was not your best work and you were reading, and I could tell. I'm like, yes, I was. He said it was still great, and he said, I've seen you do it when you're not reading, and there's so much more emotion. Like
Yeah.
people feel it so much more. Of course, I know that. So the other way, though, when we're really stuck in the environment, like in like a not empowering way, then we might be saying, okay, for example, that same training went really, really. Now, if I say, okay, this training went really, really well because I had this specific team of coaching assistants, and those coaching assistants are never going to be there again. Like this was a one-time thing. So therefore, this training went extremely well. And will it ever happen again? Because I
Mm,
went to the negative, right? Like the disempowering of the environment instead of empowering. So when we're going the other way around, really, I want to say, no matter who's there, like I am a great trainer. This was
the
fabulous.
identity. Yeah.
Yes. And so it depends on whether it's empowering or disempowering, the direction that you head of moving it more into being your identity or moving it away from your identity when it's not so empowering. This is the shift in that can just blow things open for people where they all of a sudden they see themselves in a different possible light.
Mm, yeah. It kind of takes the pressure off a little bit when you get to that environment level, because that's kind of like not things I can control, right? It's outside
Right.
of it's just the environment of the
As
situation
long as they're saying, and then next time I will do this.
differently.
The only struggle with it is if we say, oh, it's not ever my fault, it's the environment,
Sure.
right? Like, not going to practice, but right. So as long as it's because it was the
Fixable.
environment, therefore next time I will make sure my environment is this way, or I will surround myself with people who also care about money or coaches who can do this with me, right? As long as we are willing to change the environment, then it's empowering.
Yeah. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. There's so much to dissect here. This is how I feel
Goes deep.
when I talk to Megan. Anytime I talk to Megan, I just want to take notes and re-watch the conversation over and over again, because you are just so full of wisdom. And she's coming into the Money Mom Club. So if you're listening to this episode and you remember, she's coming in April, and we're going to do a guided money visualization exercise, which I'm so excited about. Personally, I'm excited about it.
I am also very excited about it. Can I give a high level teaser?
Yes, please do.
Okay. So, in my study of money recently, and this is going to the level of energy, but I don't just mean energy like in a woo woo way. I mean frequency and the idea that every object has a frequency and money itself has a frequency. And some people argue, there's a whole book about it, that money is the frequency of love. Yeah.
I like that.
Because when
Yeah.
we think about it, right, we're just exchanging. Like it's exchange of service. It's an exchange of energy. I'm giving you this to get this back. And so when everybody has probably seen those little images, right, with the tuning forks. Have you seen those images with the tuning forks? Or like you're like the five people, the five
Yeah,
people you
that
keep
you're
around
with.
you.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna start, and the tuning forks slowly go where they're all together.
Right.
Well, so when we are basically becoming the tuning fork, where we are living in a state of love and acceptance. I know this is easier said than done, but we're really in a state of like receiving, then money cannot help but come to us.
Yeah.
But anger, fear, resentment, guilt, those are the emotions that most of us hold on to around money, which is the opposite of love.
Right. And if we're not tuning to that frequency, then money's not going to come to us.
No, so we're literally vibrating at the level of guilt, which, there are people who've kind of studied the frequency of different emotions, with shame being the lowest. And shame is also a very common one with money.
Mhm.
So it's like, great, we had the feeling and emotion. Now, emotions are great as long as it moves us towards something. Staying in shame or guilt just for the sake of it, to beat ourselves up,
Not great.
not going to help us, definitely not going to bring us more money, definitely going to bring us more health. So the idea of getting rid of past negative emotions, not getting rid of, but having a new understanding of different events in our lives and the emotions tied to it, can remove that, we call it inappropriate and unwarranted level of emotion. So the kind that's above and beyond that we talked about before. And once that is shifted, we can now actually be the person who money just comes to.
Yeah. So you're gonna help us do that.
Yes.
On the call.
Yeah.
Awesome. I can't wait. That's so great. So if someone was listening to this episode and wants to dive more into your world and learn more from you, because obviously you are a wealth of knowledge in all areas of life, where can they find you?
So Instagram is a great spot to come find me. So Blacksmith underscore training underscore co is my Instagram handle. And I'll share with you too, Rachel. So I did a metaphor class recently. It was Metaphor to Millions. It's the idea of using storytelling and metaphors. A lot of the people that I work with are business owners, and these can be used anywhere. You can be using them with your kids. You can use them for your money, your money mindset, your money abundance. So I do have, I can share the link with you, a link to actually come do the replay of that, and or depending on when this goes live, I'm gonna do another live round of it.
Oh, cool.
People were so locked into the metaphor class. I keep getting messages like, I'm just speaking in metaphors and they're just flowing naturally, um, to the point that now they're able to communicate with their partner or their kids or to their friends in a way that the person is hearing them and not,
Finally.
right,
Yeah.
not feeling like you're up against a wall.
Ooh, okay. We'll put the link for that in the show
Okay,
notes as well.
beautiful.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for spending your time here with us today, Megan.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you for pouring into us and giving us new thoughts and new ways to approach life.
Fully enjoy talking about money, so thank you for having me.